channel. I've made tweets and comments about this subject before, and I wanted to make a video to kind of sum it up and give my overall opinion in a form where you can understand exactly what I'm trying to portray. I'm not trying to complain or be a baby about elevated targets. I do think that there is a place for them. I do think that the ones that DGPT sets up where they have it, has logos on it, has all that type of stuff. Obviously, one, it does look good. Two, it doesn't make the basket uneven. And three, that's sponsorship dollars. As we all know, this tour, a lot of money going in, out, sponsorship dollars are coming in. So the more places we can have a place to put a sponsor that is obviously going to be seen every single hole is valuable. And I understand that. And as a player, I'm fine with an elevated basket here or an elevated basket there. The problem is you start to elevate them on a pole, they start leaning, and then now you have an elevated basket, which is already difficult to putt into in certain wind conditions or anything like that. And then you now have it leaning in a direction that might actually be a disbenefit to the direction you're trying to putt it at. So now you have a target being used for not its intended use, in my opinion. And then it's also at an angle that would make it unuseful on the ground. So the reason I say that is in golf, there's green speeds and slope. So if the green speed is X, the slope can't be X. There's a combination and there's a graph that if the green speed is X, the slope for the hole has to be here. In golf, there's no USGA rule, but by common knowledge, the pin is typically 5 paces or 15 feet on the green. So we don't just get to put a basket right on OB and elevate it and make it impossible. In golf, there's rules to prevent tournament directors or course designers from doing things like that. What does that do? That makes people be able to approach the green. You can leave it on the low side of the hole. So for me, if you're going to have a huge elevated basket, there should be a hill behind it. So if you would like to play a shot that would go up into the hill and give you a level approach of the target, you can do so. I just don't think that we should be putting into a 30-mile-an-hour wind, which would be green speed and slope, and into an elevated basket in a way that's not meant to catch. The PDGA actually has guidelines for a competition target to be approved. It's about 32 inches rim height from grade. So the grade would obviously be the ground, not the pole, not the extension. So the fact that we have a standardized length or height, and we don't use that for the professional players kind of blows my mind. When Steph Curry makes 100,000 three-pointers, they don't say, oh, we're going to change the basket because he's in town. In golf, the cup is 4 inches around and 4¼ inches deep, no matter if John Rahm's in town or you're going to play your local muni. We shouldn't be changing our targets and the things that we're playing on based off of who's in town and how hard we need the course to be. And again, this is just my opinion. I fully understand that there's plenty of times that it's a good time for an elevated basket. It can add character to a short hole. It can make a hole that you would otherwise think is pretty easy, make it a little more difficult. But I do think that as we have these elevated baskets, we need to keep other things in mind as well, just like other professional sports do. Just because sometimes we shoot 10, 11, 12 under does not mean that we just need to start hiking the baskets up in the air and putting OB lines right around them. I don't think that's our sport. I don't think that people back in the day playing frisbee golf were trying to hit the branches 14 feet up in the air, so I don't think we should either. Also, we're at WR Jackson this week. If you're watching this video this week, thank you. If you're watching it in 16 years, thank you anyways. But we're out here. WR Jackson is one of the hardest, most difficult courses we play all year. The guys are absolutely shredding it this week. There's not one elevated basket there. There's not one OB line anywhere near any of the targets. And it's hard. There's plenty of great players not playing that well. There's plenty of great players playing great. But that exemplifies the fact that we don't need a million OB lines. We don't need the baskets hiked up in the air. If you design a nice, well-rounded, hard course, it's going to be hard. I mean, people shoot 12 under at USCDC and all these other courses with a bunch of elevated baskets and mozzarella sticks and Christmas trees and all that. So at a certain point, you're not going to stop us. So let's play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Let's play the game in the fact of the targets are approved at a certain height, and let's respect that. And like I said, I'm not saying that we should never have another elevated basket, but I do think that there should be rules. The basket should have to be flat if you're going to make it elevated, and there should be some type of place to lay up to in order to accurately make your approach into the target. Like I said, when these companies are designing these championship baskets that have to be 32 inches above the grade, they're also testing it for how it catches. And they're not putting it on a forklift and throwing into it to make sure it catches at a 45-degree angle. So at the end of the day, everyone's a different height, which is fine. But a smaller person putting into a hugely elevated basket, the basket's here, the top's here, and you're putting at it like this. That's a pretty small area to enter. So I just think that we're altering how the target works, and we're altering the actual rules and the standards that the PDGA set out. So I don't understand why we have a standard for the basket if we're not going to follow it. Again, I understand why. I appreciate the sponsors. I appreciate the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I appreciate the PDGA. I love playing, and I just think that sometimes we can overdo it with the elevated targets, which would then make the whole semi-unfair or make the putting experience semi-unfair. I just want the game to be fair. I want it to be equal for everybody, and I want the amateurs and the professionals, just like in ball golf or basketball or most other sports, to play on the same equipment at the same height. It's not that crazy of a thing to think. And we're called disc golf. Golf, which what our sport is pretty much based after, has these regulations and has these rules. So I'm not making this up out of thin air. And like I said, wind speed and, the quickness of the green is pretty similar. It's going to alter your ball, the grain, all of that type of stuff. So I don't think I'm just grabbing it thin air, but I did want to explain to you guys why I believe that sometimes elevated baskets can be too much. So hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from now. Hopefully the overlays of the graphs and the stuff that we showed you guys makes a little more sense. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.